Microdose, yeah. Microdose, 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 dose. Microdose, microdose, dose. Microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you fresh from quarantine. That's right. If you listen to the Waffle Box podcast, old Green Eyes here caught the COVID over New Year's, and is just now getting out. So far, so good. Worst thing I had was a slight fever. Other than that, it's pretty much business as usual. However, we're trying to be as responsible as we can after an irresponsible moment. So we're masking up around the house, which feels silly, but needs to be done. Enough about me, though. Bringing in an old friend from my past. He is one half of the podcast that is Balance and Manifest Your Rise to Greatness, brought to you by NineRealmsAthletics.com. Sean Thompson, what's good?
What's up, buddy? How you doing? Sorry to hear you got sick.
You know, it felt like just a normal flu, man. Like, again, there was a small tickle in my throat that I experienced during one of the podcast recordings, the Waffle Box show. And then that went away, but a fever developed. Then that went away. And then I was just kind of lying around the house for the last 2 weeks, trying to not get anyone else sick. So far, so good.
Good, man.
It is what it is, you know.
I had it back in July, so I know how you feel. What was
your experience, if we can talk about that?
Oh yeah, I'm an open book, so I can talk about anything. It was easy. It was more obnoxious than anything because I have a baby. So it was locking in, quarantining. My wife didn't get it, baby didn't get it. It was keeping to myself. And I think I had headache for a couple days.
Oh wow.
And like sweats at night. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I was like, can I still work out? And my wife wouldn't let me because we had the garage gym, and she's like, nope, you're stuck upstairs. So it was forcing myself to eat, watching a lot of TV and movies, and just boring as hell for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I also too did the thing where like there's movies in my collection that I own. Obviously they're in my collection, but I still hadn't seen them. So I was just like, all right, let's check out Ryan Reynolds' Buried. Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh, let's check out this Denzel Washington that Tony Scott directed, Man on Fire. Oh my God, why is no one else talking about this 17 years later? Like,
that movie is in my top 10.
Really? Okay.
I love that movie.
I was thoroughly impressed with it. Like, I remember people giving it praise when it first came out, and then it just disappeared. Like, no one talked about it. No one talked about, like, I thought was the biggest moment where Denzel Washington inserts a bomb up someone's rectum and then just ignites it. I was just like, this is the craziest movie I've ever seen. What the hell?
Oh man, it is so good. I could talk about movies all day long. I was gonna say my intro into podcasting was talking about movies.
Oh, okay. What were you talking about?
Yeah.
Anything specific?
So a buddy of mine him and his girlfriend used to do a show. I think they've stopped now, or they're kind of on pause. Mm-hmm. And they just talked about like cult classics, or called them good bad movies. So we'd watch all these movies that are Con Air and what was the one with John Travolta where he was like a space alien?
Phenomenon.
No, it wasn't Phenomenon. He was like in full. If it was him, Forrest Whitaker, they were in full like Klingon style.
Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, about an awful movie. But just we did like Showgirls, and they did this, and I would hop on every once in a while and go over good bad movies and just talk about fucking stupid funny movies that most people probably haven't seen. But yeah, dude, movies are great. I know you guys do what? You guys have like 3 or 4 different movie podcasts, right?
Yeah, 3 different movie podcasts. I do one called Kush and Kai. That's the one that started this whole thing off. Mm-hmm. We got 60 episodes in the bank now. And we try to do like good, bad movies, but you know what? you like what you like, but a bad movie is still a bad movie. So like, I'm happy to discuss Dolph Lundgren's I Come in Peace, but
I love that movie so much.
it's a great movie. It's an entertaining movie, but I don't want to talk about The Room. Like, I know it's a cult classic, but I'm just like, no, it's just a bad movie, guys. Like, get over it. It's not all that. And then we do 2 other podcasts. I do one with the director Len Kabaczynski called the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast, and yeah, that actually might be more good bad movies, but like we ended it strong with Best of the Best, and like, how do you not love that movie? It's
another classic.
Yeah,
another classic.
And then a common friend that we both have, Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Jameel Hemphill. Him and I do Sweet Science Cinema, where we talk about boxing movies. So we ended our season with the Rocky IV Ultimate Director's Cut.
Yep.
Have you seen the Rocky IV Director's Cut yet?
Oh yeah, the closest theater to me was about 45 minutes, 45 minutes. And we went and saw it the one day it was in theaters, and next to my wife was a lady from Russia. And it was the most obnoxious thing in the world because she had her phone out recording and taking pictures almost the entire movie. And I wanted to lean over and be like, your guy loses, right? Like, your guy loses.
I still don't understand why people think that's okay. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been to the theater and someone's just got it's one thing when like some asshole's just like, oh baby, I know we're watching Fast 9 right now, but did you hear the Giants are in first place? Oh, good time. But then like, it was a terrible movie anyways, but the first screening of Rise of Skywalker, and some bitch is next to me just trying to do the opening crawl on Snapchat or Instagram or whatever. And I was like, but you better put that away. Get off Instagram. She's like, it's not Instagram, it's Snapchat. I was like, I'm gonna strangle you anyways. Like,
it was probably timing. She's got to hit that algorithm.
Right. No doubt. Well, let's take a pause from movie talk. I think we could talk about movies for hours, but we're here to talk about balance and manifest your rise to greatness. Now, this is a self-help podcast. Is that safe to say? What would you describe this show?
It's like a self-help, but a motivational, educational. So when this drops, we'll have our 4th episode out. My wife and I are really into fitness and really into motivating. So we started a business in 2020 during the pandemic because we were stuck at home, and it started as like a motivating thing for myself, and then was like, hey, we could, let's reach out to other people. So we had a home gym and we built a deadlift platform, put a sticker on it because wanted to fill it. And I'm really terrible about like diversifying my workouts, right? Like, I'm working on strength training, so I just do that, and I'm not good with remembering to work on flexibility and mobility, stuff like that. So I came up with this sticker. I'm Swedish, come from a big Scandinavian background. Thor's my favorite Marvel character. Watching Thor, and I just like, for some reason, hits me, and I go, why don't we do something based on the 9 realms? Like, so the 9 realms of Norse mythology. So came up with our own 9 realms, had this kick-ass sticker made, and I posted on social media, and friends were like, dude, put that on a shirt, I'll buy it. So it just kind of took off from there. And I know we wanted to do something based on community, try to like bring people together. I'm really big on, I think it's okay if you hit fitness goals, whatever it is, to like get out there and share it with people. And I know there's a lot of people who talk shit about, selfies at the gym, and people always spend time at the gym, but like, people work really hard on their physique, on whatever part of fitness they're working on. And for some people like myself, it's going through mental issues and mental injuries. It's like therapy for me. And I think it's important for people to celebrate those things. So we wanted to create like a community for people to be able to celebrate the things that they accomplish. But for us, we wanted to also share our struggles and our downfalls and things kind of where we hit bumps in the road, to kind of connect with people, so people know that they're not alone.
Mhm.
Right. So other people are going through shit too. As you know, everyone on social media, it's like you get this like glimpse of, oh, my life is so good.
Mhm.
Right. It's all just happy pictures, and that's not reality. So
Mhm.
we wanted to kind of be open and honest with people, like, hey, I didn't hit this today. This was my goal. I fell short. It happens. Pick yourself up, keep moving. So we're going through, and I had, like we talked about a little bit, a little bit of history with podcasting. I have this like a studio,
Mhm.
and said to my wife, why don't we do a podcast? So what we do is we basically wanted to give people a platform to share their stories,
Mhm.
to try to connect with other people, to, like I said, if they're going through shit, someone can listen to it and say, oh my God, like I'm going through that same thing. This is how so-and-so went through it and survived it. Maybe that tool will help them. So the first actual episode we did was my wife's, and she's had a couple people message her, thanking her for sharing her story because they thought they were alone and they thought they were the only person going through the same thing. So
Mhm.
it's just to share and get those. And some of these stories are, a couple of them left me speechless after recording them, because some of the shit people go through is just unreal and stuff I can't even imagine. So in a nutshell, it's giving people a voice to share their story, to try to help other people, to connect to other people in this fucking crazy world. But we also have some guests on who specialize in specific areas. Like a little teaser, we have one on neuromuscular therapy. So we have a guy come in that we sat down with, and kind of breaks down what neuromuscular therapy is and how it works and how you can use that with, fitness and life and things like that. So we have experts, people come in to talk about specific topics to try to educate people more. It's mainly health related, but a lot of this stuff you can use in your personal life outside of, the gym or fitness.
Mhm. As you mentioned, people are always on social media, they're always putting out the positive, and my life is so great. And you know what? That's actually better to look at than like, so you and I know each other because I used to have a business called Fog City Wrestling. You were one of my pro wrestlers. I was one of the promoters, and things were good for a while. And when it was good, man, things were great. But no one ever explores the dark side when things just go bad, and it doesn't look like there's any hope inside, and it's only gonna get worse from here. And so I was very angry for a long time after things closed, man. And with anger came depression, and with depression came and just irrational thoughts. So like, there's no way out of this hole we've dug ourselves into. And just to be point blank, man, like suicidal thoughts came into my mind. And the only reason why I didn't go through with it is because I didn't want my family burdened with another bill, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
any sense to you.
Yeah, I get it.
I have friends also that have gone through their own dark spells, and they don't know how to ask for help, and they'll be passive about it. And when you're like, hey man, let's just talk about this, I don't think you're really going to go through with anything like that, but talk to me. And you try and talk them down, and the only problem is they don't want to do the work to succeed or get better. I used to walk into the office, and the jolly red-haired lady would go like, hey Kush, how you doing today? Good morning. And I'd be like, what's so good about it? And that kind of sounds funny, but also that guy is an asshole, and he's counterproductive, and it doesn't help matters, and it only puts people off. And it's one of those things where you have to like stare in the mirror and go like, all right, how do we fix this? Let's try and focus on the positive. Let's try and find one thing tomorrow that's good, and let's reflex on that. All right.
Yeah.
And guess what? The next day will probably be even better, and the next day will probably be better. And you know what? It actually, for the first couple of days, no, there was nothing positive to reflect on, but finally there was. And then you build on it, and it's a snowball, man. Like, if you want things to be good, it will get better. You just have to you just have to put in the work. It doesn't come to you naturally, like it doesn't just fall from the heavens, unfortunately.
No, it's a lot of work. I just recently, I haven't even talked about this on our show. I'm going to be doing mine down the road. I have some reasons I can't do it right now, but I just got done with a 1 week, they call it a retreat.
Okay.
But like a live-in therapy, and it's for people it's for first responders, and it's basically live there. It's 2 years worth of therapy in 5 days. And therapy starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and you finish at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And
that sounds intense.
It's hard. You're spilling your guts out to people you met 5 minutes ago and people you don't know from Adam, but you're introducing yourself and why you're there, and you're bawling your eyes out in front of people you've never met. And it's just learning. The biggest thing I can tell people is learning to let go of things that you can't control is one of the biggest things to overcoming that, being transparent. I'm, battling PTSD and depression, and learning the tools of dealing with that every single day. And like you said, it's that every day is like a new battle, right? So like you were talking about, just taking those steps every single day, wake up, be positive. I like to break my goals down into like big long-term goals. Like even with the mental health stuff, is like in 5 years, I want to be here, but that's not attainable right now, right? It's overwhelming. So you break it down into like a daily goal, and it's okay. Today I'm not going to, if I get angry, I'm going to notice it. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to, focus on it. I'm going to use whatever techniques you're using, and I'm going to nip it in the butt before it gets out of control. And you focus on that stuff. And then by the end of the day, you're like, cool, I did it today. Tomorrow you get up, you set a new goal. And before you know it, you're, 2-3 weeks in, you're a month in, and you're a step closer. You might take a couple steps back. Everyone has those shitty days, but you're moving in the right direction, and you're building towards that long-term goal of getting healthy.
I like that you talked about setting goals, because again, like you're not going to get a goal that'll take 5 years done in a day. You're not even going to get it in a week. And one of the things that I came to terms with was like, well, we don't have to do anything today. Today is just a free day, but let's put together a list and let's put everything on there that we have to do. Even something as simple as just waking up on our to-do list. You wake up, you shower, hey, I woke up, I can cross that off the list. Now it sounds so simple, but the more things you cross off that list, the better you feel, like,
feel accomplished.
Work. Yes. And then you can start expanding onto other things where you're working on calendar goals, where you're working into March and February and April 2020, which was hard in 2020, but it's just about being consistent. And there's always going to be a setback, and there's always going to be something that doesn't get done that day. But guess what? You put that on the list for the next day, and then you will get to it. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, like you were saying, it's hard because like not knowing if there's people to reach out to, right? It's hard to reach out. The biggest obstacle is to just be vulnerable and just say to somebody, I need help, because most of you're not alone in most of these cases. And there's a lot of people who've gone through similar things. They just, maybe they're embarrassed and they don't talk about it, but it's taking that step and saying, hey, I need help. One thing I learned is there's people who go to like AA meetings that aren't alcoholics, because the same
support.
It's the support, and the same steps can be used for other injuries, like post-traumatic injuries and stuff like that. You can use the same building blocks to get better. And a lot of it's just the same processes. It's learning, and it's building that support group of people that you can go to anytime you need help. You just need to vent. You need to get something out. It's finding those people and getting that list of people that you have to go to. And that's kind of what we were trying to create, is just that if someone needs help, come talk. I tell people all the time, come talk to me. Like, I got my own shit, but I also have ears. Like, send me a text message, give me a call, shoot me a message on, Facebook or Instagram, whatever. Like, I'm always available. I'll make myself available. If someone needs help, reach out. I'll talk.
That's wonderful. I've had friends that have reached out and like literally said, I need help. And then you listen to their problems, and nothing is going to get solved in that conversation, and nothing is going to get resolved immediately with your advice, but they also have to be willing to take the advice. And that's been the hardest challenge I've found from other people. I have one friend who's just an insufferable alcoholic, cartoon after school special levels of alcoholism, to the point where we were talking on the phone and my man was like, so I'm turning 40 in a couple weeks, and I made a pact with myself that if I'm not where I want to be by the time I'm 40, I'm going to kill myself. And I went, all right, time out. Shut up. One, that's a ridiculous thing to say. Two, I don't think you're going to do it, but meet me tomorrow, such and so location and time, and let's talk about this. And then, without being non-judgmental, I just passively asked him, like, so it's 11 o'clock right now. How much have you had to drink? And the answer at the time was, I haven't had anything to drink. So I take him at face value for that. But then we get up and we go for a little walk. We make a right. We make another right. We make a third right. And then all of a sudden, a gust of wind hits us, and I smell all the booze on it. And I'm just like, so how much did you have to drink today, bro? Like, all right, I had a couple shots. And I was like, we're at square one again. We've been here for 2 hours. Like, they have to be willing to do the work. And it's not easy, but that's what makes it a challenge. That's what makes it rewarding. I don't know. I mean, I'm still going through shit right now, but I've taken it upon myself to go into therapy again. And I've been in and out of therapy since I was single digits. It's just that's
a huge step. Is that step recognizing, hey, something's not right, I need to talk to somebody. And it's taking that step. But like you're talking about your buddy, you can't help people if they don't want it. Like, they have to want to make the change. I was seeing myself go down certain roads, and attitude, and everything was changing, and I was like, I don't like this. It's not healthy at home. I need help. I need to go talk to somebody. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people can't do that, or they don't have, I don't know if they can or can't. I don't know if they aren't as self-aware, which, there's a lot of stuff I wasn't aware of. For a lot of people, it's embarrassing. Like, there's that stigma. There's that stigma around, I'm in therapy, and people think, I don't know, whatever it is, you're crazy. And it's like, no, everyone's got problems. I just don't want to let them take over my life anymore, and I want to fix them. So it's breaking through that stigma of, I wear it with a badge of honor. Like, I'm in therapy. I've been going to therapy for, I don't know, man, 6 months. And it's the best decision I ever made, just going to talk to somebody. Even if, like, there's stuff at the end of the day, I get it out, and I'm like, man, now I feel stupid that was bothering me. But now you feel better because you're able to get it out, and you're able to get to the root of it and figure it out. When I was at this retreat, I lost it, and I cried for 25 minutes about my dog that we had to put down 4 years ago. Like, you just, like, some stuff you don't process when you think you need to, and it doesn't hit you until years later. And, you just got to allow yourself to feel those things. And there's this stigma around men being emotional, and it's seen as a negative thing, but we're human beings like everybody else.
I gotta say, it doesn't feel right either. Again, going back to being a man, I don't I don't want to be that macho alpha male, but at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, I can't let these people see me cry. Like, what the
Totally.
Ah.
Totally.
And then you lash and you go, fuck off out yourself. And I hope they didn't see this.
Yeah. I'm not crying, you're crying. Yeah.
Or I'm gonna make you cry in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's that's the thing. It's just I don't know. Like it's one of those things that has never really bothered me. I consider myself, quote unquote man's man. Like love doing whatever manly, whatever people consider manly stuff. And but I got no problem. Man, everyone's got to cry sometimes. Like sometimes just shit's hard and stuff backs up. And I'm gonna probably butcher the name of the book, and I need to read it. But we learned a lot about a book called what is it? The Body Keeps Count, and it's just basically your body has memory, and it just remembers all these things, and your cup fills up, and at some point your cup's going to overflow, and it's going to be so full, and you just got to recognize it and go with it. And I just learned to just put it out there and go with it. And it's been like a freeing experience doing that. Like I'll talk to people and have like heart-to-heart conversations with people that I never thought I would, and just be like, hey, you're an amazing person. Like you go through shit, stuff happens, you talk emotions and air quotes that guys don't usually talk to, with each other, but people got to hear that stuff. So it's just learning that it's okay to have emotions, and it's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. And I think it'll make you a better person in the long run.
I actually don't have this question on my list here, but since we were talking, like when you encounter one of those people or one of those friends of yours who does openly ask for help, who has taken that step forward, but then they don't do anything else, they never get past that first step, when is it okay to cut them loose or say, like, look, I've explained everything to you 5 times now. I've explained to you what's wrong. I've explained to you what your second step needs to be, and you refuse to take it. I can't help you anymore. When does that come in for you?
So this is one of my weaknesses because I grew up, with some family stuff. If you guys hear anything in the background, I have whiny dogs, and one of them's at the top of my stairs, and he's whining right now. So I have no problem cutting people out of my life that are poisonous. So I'm there for people. If someone needs help, someone legitimately needs help, they can call me. I'll help any way possible. I've driven hours to help people for the smallest things. Like I'm all for it. But at some point, and I don't know if there's a real answer, you kind of have to at some point figure out when is enough for you, right? Once you go, okay, I've given enough. I've given so much to this person and they don't want it. You just have to recognize that at this point, there's nothing else that you can do to help that person, that they have to take steps to help themselves. And even then, I wouldn't say with certain people, I don't cut them off. I just say, hey, if you need anything, I'm here. If that makes any sense. Like if you need help and you're ready to do this, come talk to me, and I'm here to help you along the way. But you got to take those steps. So at some point you got to hold them accountable to the process of getting themselves better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if there's a real direct answer, because it's hard, right? You don't want to, if someone needs help, then you don't want to like cut them off if they legitimately need help. But at some point they have to do the work themselves, right? Mm-hmm. You can't fix their problems. So
have you ever come across someone with like false sincerity? Same friend I was talking about, we hung out for 3 hours and I just listened to his problems and I tried to give him the best advice I could. And it felt at first like he was taking that to heart, but then the next 5 or 6 times he would be hollowly appreciative. Like he would just like, he'd be like, Sean, thank you so much, man, for helping me that one time. And I was like, yeah, hey man, that was 6 months ago, and you've thanked me 4 other times since then. So I get it, you were appreciative, but you've done nothing else here. By the way, you're surrounded by friends right now at this one event we're at. Everyone would have said the same thing I said to you, is because don't kill yourself. All right.
Yeah.
So at some point you need to move forward now. So shut up. And maybe I'm being a little too harsh on that one, but at the same time, it's just like, yo, you're just repeating yourself and doing nothing else.
I just take it. I just let them say what they need to say. Mm-hmm. I take it. I say thank you. And just, I know in the back of my head, all right, you've said this so many times, you keep falling in the same trap. I think if they keep bringing it up, maybe it's not, it might come off as like hollow or insincere, but maybe it really was impactful for them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it sticks in their head so much that they've thanked you for it multiple times because it really did help them. They just don't know how to verbalize it further, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like
it does.
And it depends on the person too. And you know, if you have, I don't know the person, I don't know their history. So, you know, this could be, you could read them and go, I know this person, they're just blowing smoke up my butt. And if they are, they are, but you know, maybe I'm assuming they're still alive.
Yes. Thankfully.
So that,
but their life is only degressed in the process. And there's been a few times where it's like, maybe he should have killed himself. I don't know, man. Like he is not doing any better. And that's the shitty feeling to have. And it's a shitty thing to say, even on this podcast. I was just like, maybe you would be better if you weren't here. I don't know.
Yeah, but you stopped it. You know, you gave him enough that day to reverse a thought process. So it had some kind of impact, and maybe it's given him just enough to keep holding on. And you never know, there's something, he might wake up tomorrow and just go, man, I've fucked this up for so long. And that could just turn his life around.
It was one of those things where when it first happened, I was so alarmed by everything I had heard that I saw his dad like a week later, and I was like, yo, man, your son is fucked up. A, B, and C, and you need to help him out. And he kind of just looked at me, he's like, my son is 40 years old. What am I gonna do? He's a grown-ass man now. Like I did my part. Now it's time for him to do his.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I said, it's if people don't want help, they're gonna, if they want help, they're gonna reach out. And if there's only so much you can do, you know, like you can put yourself out there, call me anytime, take them out, talk to them. But if they don't want it, then there's only so much you can do.
Let's get past my friends and their troubles here. Who are your inspirations, Sean Thompson?
My inspirations, like celebrity inspirations,
or just even if it's no one we've ever heard of before. Who do you use as an example to be a better person?
Man, I've never actually been asked that question, because I look up to, like, celebrity wise, like I look up to The Rock. I know a lot of people do. And wrestling wise, I'll be honest, he wasn't that great of a wrestler. And acting, he doesn't always have the best movies. I watch all of them. But just as a human being, and you see him out there helping people, and kind of really putting his money where his mouth is. And I'm sure there's stuff that I don't know about, but both good and bad, but he's a human being like everybody else. And this is going to sound cheesy. Honestly, probably my wife. She's younger than me, but going through my process, going through my process and the shit I've gone through, the resiliency that she has and her ability to adapt and overcome and help people and put, it sounds selfish, but like my needs and my mental needs above some of her own is something that I aspire to be able to do moving forward in my process to try to help other people. So that's probably the first person I can think of that I look up to be like when I grow up. When I grow up, I want to be like my younger wife.
Outstanding. You mentioned a book already, but are there any other books or podcasts that you would recommend on the same subject of just self-help and just being better at life?
Man, that's I listen to so many podcasts, but they're all over the place. I'm gonna get his name wrong. Ethan, I think it's Ethan Suplee. He's an actor.
I know that name. Yeah.
He was in there was a football movie he was in. I know he was in American History X. He was the big fat guy.
He was on My Name is Earl.
Yeah.
Randy.
That guy, I don't know if you've followed him or seen him. That guy has made a complete 180. That guy is magnificent shape, and his podcast, I think it's called The American Glutton. Okay. And it's just about people's transformations and their addictions and overcoming those. And so that's a good one.
He was like 350, maybe 400 pounds, like at the height of his career.
Yeah.
He would play the funny fat guy. He was the dumb brother on My Name is Earl. He's always been just a disgusting slob in most movies you've seen him in. The last movie I saw him in, just before the pandemic shut everything down, was The Hunt. And sure enough, he was just rocked and jacked, and like he was physically healthier, and you could see that. And you're like, oh man, good for you, Randy. Like, I'm proud of you, dude. And then he died 3 minutes into the movie, but you're like, good for you, dude.
So like, I don't do New Year's resolutions. I'm pretty firmly against New Year's resolution in the form of, I have a New Year's resolution. Very for people making changes. I just doing it as a quote New Year's resolution kind of gives people an out, and like if they drop out of it. But one of the changes I've wanted to make is to read more. So I don't have a great answer for you as far as books, because I've been so consumed with work up until recently and life that I don't read enough. But people that I like, stories that I have taken and been motivated by, CT Fletcher. A lot of mine is because I'm a big gym person. So like bodybuilders are a big one for me. People just see meatheads who lift a lot of weight, but the process and the work and the methodical work that goes into the process of building their body and physique and the nutrition, and a lot of these people are extremely intelligent, especially when it comes to physiological processes and how your body works. And isolating a single muscle, because you look at their back and their right side of their lat is just a little bit smaller than the left, so they like able to focus to just bring that one up a little bit more to like, it's insane stuff. But one of those, like CT Fletcher, he was a big motivational guy. He was known for, he used to scream, "It's still your motherfucking set." He was a big guy in Southern California, but he went through being this big, ripped, strong power lifter to having open heart surgery, and like videos of him learning to run after surgery or trying to run. And literally he just posted out for the world, him trying to run, and he just falls on his face and busts his nose because his body can't do it. And he's almost in tears, but then he picks himself up and he keeps going and pushing forward, and then he's lifting weights again, and then so it's stuff like that. Like I find those motivational things to be inspiring. I do actually have a random one that just popped in my head, so sorry if I ramble.
Break it down, ramble on.
So I don't watch a lot of these, but TED Talks. And it's another motivator to starting our podcast. Was a guy was on, I believe his name is Daryl Davis, and he's a jazz musician, but he also did news. What do they call it? Like people who go out, journalist. He's like a journalist also.
Dig.
So, and he wanted to figure out why he's black, and he wanted to figure out why people hated him because of his skin color. So, but his story is right. So he goes to a Klan meeting and he just watches, and then he talks to I don't know what their titles are, really don't care, but he talks to the head guy and he asks for an interview. So he sets up an interview with him at a hotel.
This is different from the guy who Black Klansman was based on.
Probably.
Okay.
I'm not too familiar with so they do this interview, and they talk once, they do the interview, then they do it again, and then they do it again. And it turns into, they go to each other's houses for dinner and each other's families. And it turns into a friendship. And the guy ends up leaving the Klan and leaving that whole world behind. And he gives his robe and everything to Mr. Davis as like you saved me. Here's this thing. And it was just a powerful message for me of the power of conversation. Like everybody is so torn these days with, especially on social media, like everybody's so torn on sides, but they don't know why somebody thinks the way they do. And they don't take the time to figure out why. And it's unfortunate that a lot of times friends or people you think are friends don't take that time either to go, hey, why? Ask me why I might think this way about something, right? So having these guys having a conversation over and over and building this understanding, whether they agreed or not, ended up changed both of their lives, but ended up changing somebody's life and going, hey, I was wrong. And the guy was able to adjust and change his life just by conversation.
What is a movie that, bringing back movies, what is a movie that inspires you or just makes you feel better? You know, like for example, even I think this sounds silly, but like whenever I'm in a bad mood, I love watching The Greatest Showman, the Hugh Jackman musical about P.T. Barnum. And you and I have those roots in the old Carney world. So I was just like, dude, I totally relate 100% to this. Like the guy started from nothing, tried to make his way in the world, and well, shit went sideways for a minute. And there's some entertaining songs in the middle of it. But yeah. And by then I'm just like, oh, he's just trying to provide for his family. They don't understand. Yeah.
If I want to cry, then I'm probably gonna, dude. I'm like I said, I'm such a dude. Armageddon still gets me. The end of Armageddon every single time. Being a father now and having a daughter, like I see things a whole lot differently. One that's always sticks out, the story wise, that kind of gets me is Big Fish. Okay, I've heard anyone who sees that will not have a dry eye by the end of it. Yeah, it's a Tim Burton movie. It was critically praised, but still went under everybody's radar. Very, very underrated movie. Very good. But if I'm in a shitty mood and I just want to feel better, honestly, Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is my all-time favorite movie. And nice. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm assuming
seen it in the theater. Yeah, when it first came out.
I have Evil Ash and Good Ash both tattooed on my leg.
Oh.
And if I'm in a really bad mood, I just put that on and I can recite that movie all day long.
Nice. Yeah. I would say Army of Darkness is the equivalent of my Ghostbusters. Like that's
the OG Ghostbusters.
I love the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
There's a time where I was just like, is this my favorite movie? It's definitely the movie I've seen the most in life, to the point where like we had to replace multiple VHS copies of it. I've owned it on every format that I've had. Yeah, that's my movie. In fact, again, before the pandemic shut everything down, I got to go see the San Francisco Symphony do their performance of the soundtrack as the movie is playing. And I was like, oh, that's the greatest date ever.
That's awesome. I think I have 3 copies of Army of Darkness. I have like a director's cut, a bootleg cut, and then like an extended version or some crap.
I have the theatrical cut, but on VHS, I used to own the European cut, which I think is at least 2 of those that you described, where there's the alternate ending where Ash took one too many drops and then woke up in the future. And you're just like, oh my God, oh no, this is such a different movie now.
Oh man, so good.
That's a great movie. Army of Darkness is fantastic. Well, let's get a little more serious here. When do you know that you've hit rock bottom? If that's even a question you can answer.
Man, I don't know, because I think that looks different for everybody. I can say that I've never been suicidal.
Okay. Lucky.
And I feel for people who've been in that position, because I can't imagine having that thought or desire. It's tough, because like I said, it kind of depends on, I try not to judge what's hard on people. Being is like, I'm law enforcement, and I go to calls, and in my head I'm like, this isn't that big of a deal, but to that person, whatever they're going through that day is the worst thing they can be going through.
Right.
It's easy where I could go, man, I've been through 10 times worse, but that doesn't matter, because to that person, it's the hardest thing they've gone through. So I don't know how you can quantify rock bottom. Like for me, it's just been kind of a gut feeling.
Okay. Well, let's modify the question then. When is it okay to ask for help?
Anytime. I encourage anytime you're feeling anxiety, anytime you're feeling overwhelmed, anytime you're feeling stress, because help could be as little as, hey, I just need to vent, and I just need to. My wife and I had talked and set up boundaries where if she just needs to get stuff off her chest, that she can come to me and say, I don't want a response, I don't want an answer, I just need to get it out. And I don't try to help. I just let her vomit whatever she needs to get out, and then she feels better. So I say it's any time. I don't think people reach out enough, and there's nothing wrong with calling someone and saying, hey, I need help.
When building on that answer, when is it okay to not give an answer? Like, someone just needs to vent. They just need someone to listen to. Me being me, I will always hear someone's problems. I'm like, well, you should do this. And that's 6 out of 10 times that is not the way to go. And I just can't recognize it at that moment. I should have just listened. I should have just went, that fucking sucks. But I always feel like, no, I could be doing more to help them with that. And maybe that's self-serving, but like, when is it okay to just shut up and listen?
Just ask. It's just it's that communicating thing. There's nothing wrong with saying, if someone's, hey, I need to talk, just say before they start, go, do you need advice, or do you just need someone to listen to you?
Okay.
And just solicit it. Like, if, after they're done, ask them, be like, hey, do you, I have some things that I think could help. Do you want me to tell them? or do you want me to share them with you?
Okay.
It's okay. Like, communication is, I mean, we're both older, so we know what it's like pre-phone, pre-text message, like writing letters and talking to people in person. I still try to call people on the phone because I don't like texting all the time. Like, sometimes I want to talk to somebody and I don't want to read a message. And I think communication is being lost. So it's good to like us just sitting here bullshitting and talking. It's not done enough. So yeah, if you want to know and someone comes to you, just ask them.
Balance and Manifest Your Rise to Greatness comes out weekly every Monday so far. It's on all the major platforms. What subjects can we look forward to in the future?
Man, so give you guys a little inside teasers. So we're doing seasons. We're in the middle of moving and figured it's going to be easier for us than guests and try to do a weekly thing. So right now we've just about wrapped up season 1. Most of them are stories coming from people. I have a couple buddies who were prior military. One was blown up, took a piece of rebar to the face, had to learn to walk and talk all over again, almost ate his gun in front of his family. Right. Some really heavy stuff I'll share. It's the later in the season. Was a powerful one for me. Being in law enforcement, had a guy who's been a big supporter of ours, and he came in and had him over to the house and sat down and talked, and he's lived a life full of crime and drug addiction, and spent 5 years in state prison, multiple stints in prison, and did some terrible things in prison to survive. And he needed help, and the system just isn't set up for people who actually want help to get help. And he's now 2 years clean and sober, hasn't been in any trouble. CrossFit basically saved his life and helped keep him out of trouble. It's the power of going to the gym. Some people just look at and mock and make fun of the people who spend that time in the gym, but that's his sanctuary. That's where he finds his happiness, and he can be him. So for me, sitting down and talking to him, being on opposite ends of the law, and just afterwards being able to hug and really appreciate the struggle that he went through and still goes through to try to, better his life and keep going in the right direction, was probably one of my, it's in the top of the conversations that we've had so far.
Anyone that you already talked to that's already in the bank that you really think people need to listen to this episode? You need to be a part of this.
100% next. And I'm not just saying this because it's next week, but we talked about this a little bit offline, was next week is Tony Drake. Used to wrestle as Big Baby Slim, wrestled a lot with Fog City. And that's where him and I connected. And we've become great friends since. We talk weekly. He helps my wife with building her business. He's a life and transformation coach. His story of being an obese kid and getting bullied and picked on as a kid, and it tormenting him into his adulthood, and how he was able to turn his life around is just short of amazing. It's one of my, I said that about the other one. It's one of my favorites because I've heard the story, but it's crazy to follow him daily and see how he transforms his life and how he translates that now into his coaching to help other people transform their lives. So that one, I really hope that we can get out to a lot of people, because I think it'll really help. He's an amazing, amazing human being.
Yeah, I agree with that. Balance and Manifest Your Rise to Greatness. You're going to find it on all the major platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and iTunes, depending on what they're calling it these days, Amazon and Audible. You can find it everywhere. It's weekly. It's Mondays. Sean and Savannah Thompson, 9realmsathletics.com. Is there anything else you want to plug tonight, my man?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come on and talk. I'm super passionate about this stuff and trying to help people. And if anybody out there needs help, just hit us up. If someone has a problem, needs someone to talk to, shoot me a message.
Check us out. All the good stuff is at the bosnet.family. Check me out on a Waffle Box podcast. It's the best part of Wednesdays. Otherwise, Kush and Kai, the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast, Sweet Science Cinema. Everything's in hiatus right now, but there's always the Microdose. Otherwise, for Sean Thompson, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you. Music has been
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
I have no problem cutting people out of my life that are poisonous.